That was a pretty stretch of the imagination, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Just like the nose of a Tengu.
I was gonna
How you like
say,
that? What are you
I was gonna say you like those red fires, same as the skin color of the Tengu that we're talking about.
I mean, that's a little presumptuous, maybe a little bit racist, but okay, I'll take it.
So we're gonna do a little bit something different today on the Folklore Scrolls. Usually I do like a little bit of editing, whatnot. Gonna be doing the editing with SCP, of course. But for this one, we're gonna do a little bit of a long discussion of the Tengu. I know we kind of did a little bit on it when we covered the goblins.
We talked about it existing. We didn't talk about it in depth.
But here's the in-depth lore of it. We're going, I'm gonna put something animated in the background, but not like really any memes or anything. I usually put. Let us know what you think. We're gonna do this, in-depth talk. If you like it, let us know. If not, we'll try to do like shorter sections next time and put a little bit more entertainment in it.
So we found a nice large article. It has its own little artwork, and it looks like it's really well done, really well put together. And we're just gonna read that, and just gonna take that.
Oh man, it's got this picture, and it's got this little animation of this leaf coming down.
It's this handsome ass Tengu with a mustache and a beard.
It reminds me of Persona from Persona 5. I think there was one of those like him.
Yeah, we haven't read this, but it's a decent sized article.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will be very interesting.
So Tengu, the Japanese demon.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
This is from tofugu.com.
And this is written by
Linda Lombardi.
Yeah.
Wait, like Falco Lombardi from Star
idea.
Fox?
Maybe. Do a barrel roll.
And I'm not sure if you can put this on YouTube. It's a YouTube thing. So the art by Aya Francesco.
I don't know if I'll put that actual art, but yeah, I could.
Well, if you just have
maybe in the thumbnail, might as well. So the Tengu, the Japanese demon, that's basically a mini-god,
full of pride, full of power.
In Japanese folklore, many stories include spirits, supernatural creatures, and demons called yokai. And of all the yokai, the Tengu is the one that might seem the most familiar to modern Westerner. At first glance, it's a lot like a superhero. The ability to fly, great physical strength, magical powers, and the secret martial arts skills. Ooh. But the Tengu is no comic book creation. It has a long history and deep connections to Japanese culture and religion.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why this one's going to be a great listen.
Like the Kitsune and the Tanuki, the Tengu started out as an animal. But its evolution has taken more twists and turns. And like the Kitsune's connection to the Shinto, it has a close relationship to other Japanese religion, Buddhism. The relationship is not a happy one, though. Tengu are sworn enemies to the Buddhist faith, and much of their history has been spent trying to lure people off the road of enlightenment.
Now hold on a second, just 1 second here.
Okay.
Kitsune are foxes, Tanuki are like raccoon dogs. What the heck was the Tengu supposed to be? A bird, maybe?
I think Tengu had different transformations, if I remember right. I can't remember too well. Maybe it was them, maybe it was another one.
I'm going to go ahead and say bird.
Yeah, even it says here, Tengu long-nosed goblin. So I know we had covered them slightly when we were talking about the goblins. Tengu are more like minor gods than other trickster yokai, and they expect you to treat them as such. Come along and we'll guide you through this rich and important part of Japanese folklore.
Come along! I make a follow me gesture as the camera pans over my head onto a nice landscape and the music rises into a crescendo. Then a big title card pops up and says, The World of Tengu. And the music takes a little bit of a nice mellow drive as it goes. And it's like... And then the narrator...
We're having some kind of JRPG boss fight.
No, it's like a mellow one, like a nice little flute, like an opening scene of a town, the beginning of adventure, right? And then the narrator starts up. Types of Tengu. Wait, you hear this part? Yeah. Though you may be familiar with the red-faced, long-nosed Tengu, it may surprise you to learn that there are 2 different types. And the one that came first is considered lesser than the newer yokai.
That's some kind of jazz player going.
Okay, number 1, the Dai Tengu. The Great Tengu, or Dai Tengu, is an imposing semi-human whose most prominent feature is a long nose and large wings. Yeah, it's a bird. You've probably seen pictures of the bright red, long-nosed mask that represents the face of the Dai Tengu. When we say Tengu nowadays, this is the one we mean. They live in deep mountain forests, and particular mountains are said to be the homes of particular named Dai Tengu. Some of their powers, like possession, are shared with other yokai, but their special skills include control of wind, swordsmanship, and flight. Dai Tengu often abduct humans, sometimes to torment them, but other times to teach them magic.
It's like you get kidnapped and you do like a roll. It's like a GM is like, do a roll. And he
roll
like,
for charisma.
Come on, teach me magic. And you get like, you get a natural 1. And you're like, no.
I got a
torment for you.
I got a 9. It's like, well, with your modifiers, well, you will learn magic, but he also will torment you. So.
Oh man.
Humans may even seek out Dai Tengu to learn their secrets, but as we'll see later, they often regret it. Along with the red-faced, long-nosed robes, long nose, robes, and wings, the Dai Tengu may be depicted holding a large fan that they use to stir up huge winds.
Oh no.
They are said to cause wars and natural disasters, with their proud nature and penchant for chaos and savagery. It's no wonder several writers have made connections between Dai Tengu and human society. Well, that's a bit of a stretch.
Wow, that's pretty deep. The Ko Tengu. The other type is called Ko Tengu, Lesser Tengu, or Karasu Tengu. Karasu Tengu, Karasu means crow.
I knew that one actually.
But these Tengu may also take the form of birds of prey, especially the black kite Tobi. They also wear monks' robes, but Ko Tengu are much more animal-like, both in their appearance and the behavior.
I like them.
While Dai Tengu can contemplate distributing human society with interfering with religion, the Ko Tengu are smaller scale. The main thing you have to worry about is that they'll eat you. Oh, is that all? Oh, man. Woo!
The main thing is that they'll eat you.
In some folk tales, they're depicted as easy to fool. Something you don't want to try with the Dai Tengu.
So what's the origin of this accent, Ethan?
Huh?
You want to talk about this accent, Ethan?
This is my natural accent.
Oh.
Now
you've been having an accent. You've been pretending this whole time to be like English.
That's
but
right.
You actually have a normal accent usually.
Nowadays, the Ko Tengu are, I don't know, I've seen this picture of this crow and I just automatically thought like,
is this what the crow would
he's
sound
like from anime, and I'm just like, he needs like an anime like explanation.
I see. A kind of.
Nowadays, the Ko Tengu are sometimes considered servants of the Dai Tengu, but that's not how it started out. The Ko Tengu is actually an old school version of the Tengu. In other words, originally the bird-like Tengu was the only type there was.
Good.
But as the goblin significance changed and developed, they became more human, with the long nose becoming a humanized being. I remember they had different forms, and I think this has come back to me with the crow.
I see.
But even as the human-like Tengu emerged, the old bird-like image stuck around. So we ended up with two kinds of Tengu. The modern era, even though the Ko Tengu is original, it's now secondary. The most interesting stories about the powerful, intelligent, dangerous, proud, human-like are the Dai Tengu. So the Ko Tengu was basically easy to fool, and they just ate you. And the Dai Tengu are way smarter and could torment you or teach you magic.
You know what's interesting? They had Ko Tengu, which was like a bird-headed guy in a monk outfit. And then in Egypt, they had also bird-headed people.
Oh my god.
Isn't that an interesting comparison?
That is.
There are different bird-headed people throughout history.
Yeah. Maybe we used to be birds.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Or maybe birds are our gods. After all, they can fly above us.
Well, didn't they also worship cats?
A lot of their gods had animal heads, but birds. There's like at least 3 bird-headed though. 4.
On an off
heads.
note, they found out that the Sphinx is 9,000 years older than they thought it was.
Wow!
Because they found, I guess, erosion of water in it, and they said that water hadn't been there for like 9,000 years before they thought it was made.
Yeah, but they also thought that the Sphinx was not 9,000 years old, so maybe they're wrong. There was water there earlier than 9,000 years ago. Think about that.
I don't even know.
How do they prove
Probably
that
be
water
like 20
was
years
there?
from now, they'd be like, it's not even real, it's a mirage.
It's just a mirage, dude.
Everybody there is just too hot, and like all of a sudden we get global cooling, it disappears. It's like, oh my god, it was never here.
But if we can, let's try and remember bird-headed people for next time, because I want to see if there's any comparisons to all the bird-headed
maybe that could be a
stuff.
Next thing on.
Yeah. All right. Tengu evolution.
Sounds like a fighter game announcement.
You know what I really like, actually? Since we're talking about Japanese folklore. And this doesn't have anything to do with folklore, but rather just Japanese culture.
I think this is actually the second folklore we've covered. I think the other one was the, I forget the name, but it was the ghost of the winter.
Yuki-onna?
Yeah, Yuki-onna.
I just like that noise that goes...
Yeah, it's great.
I like it a lot.
Isn't that... Don't they still use that in...
Yeah, in like...
I was gonna say, don't they use that in the sumo stuff still?
Yeah, anything like old cultural stuff, they usually keep that because it's like part of it.
I love Japanese stuff. Like I actually planned on moving there back when I was in high school. I think a lot of people do, but it never occurred to me to learn Japanese.
Yeah, a lot of people at least want to visit, at least because it seems so interesting.
Japanese seems so hard to learn, but I want to learn it one day.
I mean, I think English is probably pretty hard to learn. But it's more commonplace.
I heard that the hardest language to learn from English is Russian, because Russian is almost like alien to English.
Why that?
Like nothing makes sense if you're trying to learn it like a perspective of other languages. Like French and Spanish and German. It's supposed to be really easy to learn from English.
They're all based on Latin, right?
They all kind of like derive around the same kind of pronunciations, but trying to learn Russian from English is apparently very hard.
Wow.
Well, and vice versa, trying to learn English from Russian is probably really hard as well. That's why I respect anybody who's like from Russia that learns English. It's got to be really hard.
Russian, like, see. All right. Okay, Tengu evolution. Here, let's continue here. Okay.
He's got the Rona.
That's right. Got a car. Early Tengu stories share a lot of features with other yokai tales. In the 9th and 10th centuries, they are trickster mountain demons doing regular yokai things, spinning yo-yos, playing pool, regular... Yeah, selling fake watches.
Got those ghost people and that cat person following around and like the yokai watch, right?
That's right. Being an anime and a video game series.
That's where all the yokai tales come from, right?
Regular yokai things.
Right? No, actually, no. It's way older.
The anime came first. What
Could
are you
you
talking
imagine like somebody making an anime about like Western ghosts and whatnot? So like they're like, oh, go and fight for me, Bloody Mary. It's just like a woman comes out with blood all over her and starts fighting and whatnot.
Santa Claus! Ho, ho, ho.
Santa
away!
It's funny because what comes next after him saying what? Okay, let's keep going. We keep going off track.
Let's see. Doing regular yokai things. Luring people into the woods with the sound of music, throwing pebbles at houses, and appearing as will-o'-the-wisps. Tengu possessed illiterate people, which became obvious when they suddenly gained the ability to write kanji. They were also big on causing fires. As one writer puts it, everything strange and mysterious is attributed to them, which is pretty much your basic definition of yokai.
So if anything screws up, then it's their fault. It's just like that one where they're like, anybody dies out in a snowstorm, it's the Yuki-onna's fault.
In Western culture, it was if anything strange is going on, it's either a demon or a witch.
Right.
One of those two.
And Japanese culture, it's like anything bad happens, it's the yokai's fault.
Yeah, evil spirits and stuff. And in some countries, if anything weird happens, it's the person's fault and they get executed.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live, of course.
The way it should be.
The way it should be.
Not really.
Okay. That isn't exactly the powerful demon we know today. In earliest tales, Tengu were easy to defeat.
No way!
Yes way. Let me continue here, and I'll tell you why. In one story that showcases their shape-shifting powers, a Buddha appears in a tree, surrounded by a bright light, and a rain of flowers. A clever minister suspects the trick, sits down, and stares at it for an hour. The Tengu's power withers, and as it turns into a kestrel, and falls out of the tree with its wings broken. Not too difficult. If staring at something for an hour were a martial art, who wouldn't have a black belt?
So funny.
Yes, very. The story contains the germ. Is that really? Contains the germ of how this yokai developed differently from other yokai.
I've never heard anybody use that in a sentence before.
Contains the germ. Maybe it's like a British thing. I don't know who wrote this.
I don't know.
I don't know where they're from. Maybe this is like a
they're
Japanese
from Russia.
Thing. Maybe. Good grammar for someone in Russia. Their connection to Buddhism, that's what makes them different. Tengu have come to play a special role as an enemy of the faith, like the devil, but they're birds.
Mm-hmm.
Birds are Satan.
What was it in the Quran? It was the Ifrits, right?
Wait a minute.
The Ifrits and the Dejin were the demons in that?
Dude, in Egypt, birds are the gods, and in Japan, birds are the demons.
Well, what is the demons in Egypt?
The demons in Egypt?
Do they have any? I guess maybe that's something else we can look into.
It was Set, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was the god of death, right?
No, god of the chaos.
Oh, okay.
I believe. There's also a giant snake or something, but...
Okay. 11th and 12th centuries. By the 11th century, many Tengu legends have developed and are collected in 31 volumes, called Konjaku Monogatari. Only 28 volumes are still in existence. In these stories, we see their shape-shifting into Buddha to delude monks. Abduction of Buddhist priests was already one of their favorite tricks, as well as trying to fool them into gaining power from the Tengu, instead of taking the real path to enlightenment. What must have been tempting for those monks was the yokai's supernatural powers actually worked. In one story, a Yamabushi mountain priest cures a sick emperor, but the emperor's resident priests become suspicious and start chanting at him. Hurtling to the floor, the Yamabushi cries out for forgiveness. All these years I've worshipped the Tengu and prayed to them to make me famous. But what an awful mistake it was.
Even though I healed this man, these people are yelling at me.
Why the regret? Learning the Tengu's power would not lead to enlightenment, even if they did save the lives of emperors. So it's all about your priorities. The assumption being that as a Buddhist priest, your priority was supposed to be enlightenment and not, say, worldly fame and praise for healing a powerful person.
Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
I mean, you were supposed to feel good about the emperor dying.
I was thinking, like, what if you gave away your enlightenment to save people? That sounds pretty Buddhist to me.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Disputing Buddhist sects would often call the other sect Tengu, to demonize them and imply their teachings were dangerous or deceptive. By the 12th century, the idea developed that bad priests become Tengu after death.
So bad priests become a powerful magician bird? That's not so bad.
So the priests, are they the ones that actually cure people? He cured him, he must be a Tengu.
I became a Tengu after death so I could save this world. What a hero.
As time goes on, the Tengu are settling the sights higher than attacks on the common people and Buddhist priests. In one story, an emperor goes blind, but once in a while has flashes of vision. A Tengu, who is the ghost of a priest, appears and explains what's happening. I am riding on the emperor's neck and covering his eyes with my wings. When I clap my wings, he can see a little.
What, he's just forever? That sounds boring.
It is
on his neck. Oh wait.
It's important to remember most of the vivid visual images of the yokai we have today only go back to the Edo period. Most started out as odd phenomena, or occurrences that were only personified as visualized later. It is in the earliest stories there are few references to the Tengu's appearance. More often than not, they are invisible. There's also a close similarity between the image of the Tengu and the Garuda, a bird-like deity from the Buddhism and Hinduism. So it seems likely the Tengu's image developed from something from China and was associated to a folk demon that already existed. One scholar even suggests that the Buddhist priests, seeing the resemblance of the Garuda, made this association on purpose. But how this connection arose seems to be lost to history.
Probably because they're both bird people.
Yeah, maybe.
That's where the connection arose from, I assume. Maybe I'm just oversimplistic here, but... 13th to 18th century. In the 13th century,
we get into a Pokemon battle now?
Well, it's like I imagine it's like one of those flash forwards. And
okay.
It's like the brand new future.
And then it's like one of those like wavy visualizations.
Yeah. In the 13th century, Tengu began to guise of Yamabushi, and aesthetic mountain priests. Some of the clothing Tengu are depicted is wearing is now based on the garb traditionally worn by Yamabushi. But unlike these humble hermits...
Hey, boo-boo. I'm not your average Yamabushi.
I'm not your average Yamabushi. Let's take these piganape baskets. Boo-boo. But unlike these humble hermits, Tengu want to be worshipped by humans. This is also when Tengu started to get the reputation for skill in martial arts.
Oh my.
Including the story that the samurai Minamoto no Yoshitsune learned his famed swordsmanship from the Tengu Sojobu. Tengu also started abducting children around this time, an important feature in the tales that we'll look at in depth later.
So, like, some people, like, lost their kids. It's like, must have been a Tengu.
Freaking Tengu stealing my kids.
Oh my god.
Tengu began to look more human-like around the 14th century, which is when their long-nosed version starts to appear. As one scholar notes, animal-shaped gods and demons have the tendency to grow more human. Maybe this is because they're much more useful in stories that way. The evolution definitely happened to the Tengu. First they were birds of prey, caca. Then men with bird heads, caca, who later also had bird bills, and finally the bill morphed into a long nose. Where's the duck Tengu? I haven't seen a duck Tengu yet. Images of other kind of Tengu.
If there was one, the world would have ended a long time ago. No, I'm thinking about
Is
goose.
It weird that the duck Tengu never has any pictures around?
It had been the goose Tengu.
It's because they burned all those pictures to
yeah.
protect history and humanity.
If you laid your eyes upon it, it would be like looking to the void itself.
In artistry of its true form. Tengu didn't disappear, though eventually leading to the modern era where there are two kinds, with the more human Tengu being superior. Yes, we know this. As they become more human, there are now stories of individual named Tengu that live on certain mountains, who may be good or evil. Their goals become broader, or in disrupting human society in general, especially causing wars, instead of just focusing on messing with Buddhism. By the 17th century, stories begin to describe Tengus having great physical strength.
19th century to modern times.
They're ripped.
As we get closer to the modern times, the stories look more and more familiar. By the 19th century, it seems like there's more of an emphasis on the flying in the stories, which is one of the things that sets Tengu apart from the other yokai. Tales tell of the Tengu abductees falling from the sky in 1810.
Hold on. They're Supermaning the Tengu.
Yeah.
Superman was too overpowered, too many abilities, too loose. So now they rebooted the Tengu with a specific power set in order to make him more of a real-life character.
They're like super martial artists. They're like master magic people.
Flying.
And they can do illusions. And they can fly.
Well, what if he...
Super strength.
What if the Tengu can travel through time? No, he can't travel through time. He has freeze breath and heat vision.
He can only go backwards in time, not forward.
That's right.
In 1810, the story, a naked man supposedly fell from the sky in Asukusa.
Nice.
He explained he had left Kyoto 2 days before on a pilgrimage and was carried away by a Tengu. The skeptic might think this is a pretty good way to distract people away from wondering why are you laying in the street naked. But hey, who knows? There are also tales where the priest suddenly transforms into the Tengu, growing wings and flying away.
But why did he do that?
He was tired of people asking him questions like, why do you have a really long nose?
You know, he was just going down to get some water from the well, and all of a sudden, like, him and his friend, like, what's a Japanese
He drank a Red Bull. That's what it was. It was the original Red Bull recipe.
Him and his friend Muno, or whatever, was, like, having a chat, and all of a sudden, he just starts, like, he's just like, oh, I got chest pain. And all his wings just sprout, and he goes, caca! And he flies away. It's like, Dave, come back!
No!
Dave! And he's got to go back and talk to the head
it's
chief.
because he healed the other guy, it's why!
Tengu are said to control rain, wind, and thunder. They cause raging storms when they are angry, and can make whirlwinds that carry people up into the air. There are also stories where the Tengu are good, or where their anger can be placated. Maybe now that they'd become so powerful, people needed ways not to be so frightened by them. And they are seen as guardians of the forest they live in. But woodcutters would supposedly placate them after cutting down trees with offerings of rice cake or fish. There's a story of a monastery where the garden was always clean without anyone caring for it or sweeping. All the doors and gates were left open because thieves who came in couldn't find their way out. All this thanks to one protective Tengu.
I was going to say, with the guy, like, he was like, oh man, I was just in this one town and now I'm here. He's probably just got so drunk. Yes. Like, so drunk that he just ended up in another town. It's like, how did I get... It must have been a Tengu. He carried me here.
Yeah,
it must have been a Tengu.
You reek like alcohol. It's like, yeah, but he forced me to drink it, the Tengu.
And the place that's, like, always clean, it just has a guy that works there at nights, and people only go there during the daytime. It's like, I never see anybody here cleaning. It's just a guy who works in the nights.
And that guy just wondering why he's not getting paid. Like,
and he sleeps during the day, so it's not like he can hear anybody that gives the rumors. That's like, oh, Tengu watches over this place.
The mysterious Tengu kanji. Bum, bum, bum.
And for some reason, there's a picture of a dog in an astronaut suit.
But it's cute.
Not suit.
Look how cute it is.
I don't understand.
It's so cute.
His ears hanging out. His ears hanging out of the helmet. It bothers me.
Geez, you're right. You know, but it's what do you call it? An expressionist.
Yeah, yes.
Piece. His snout is also.
That's
because it's probably just pretend.
You know, maybe they drew the helmet first, and then they were drawing the dog's head. It's like, oh my god, I can't fit it all in there. It's like, nobody would notice. I noticed. I see it.
Once we know the history and characteristics of the Tengu, there's an obvious question. What's the deal with the kanji used to write its name? That was my Seinfeld impression.
The way that this is written in parentheses almost looks like like people use the U and the W to make like
a woo?
Yeah. To make a weeb face.
Oh yeah, it's like
it looks like a poorly scribbled.
It's the guy who needs to go to the
face.
bathroom. That's what this is.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what it looks like.
He's got a little squiggly mouth. His eyes are closed. He's like, oh, jeez.
Oh, man, it's locked. Somebody's occupied. No.
Exactly.
And we've all felt that way.
Oh, here's why the dog is a space dog.
Okay. Now we'll get an explanation.
The kanji for the word Tengu means celestial dog.
Oh, my God.
The Tengu is somewhat celestial. It flies. But even though its image has changed over the centuries, there's never been anything dog-like about it. So why is it written that way?
Right. Okay, so it was a crow, and then it was like a long-nosed goblin, and now somehow it's a celestial dog.
I think it was always a dog.
Oh, okay.
What if it's an alien? What if they're aliens, dude?
Oh. But it's Cthulhu.
But what if they're like aliens, dude? But what if they're like some space aliens, dude?
Confirmed. It's confirmed.
Aliens confirmed. The first recorded use of the term in Japan is from 637.
Geez, that's really early.
In reference...
It doesn't actually say a year or a time period.
No, it's the year 637.
Yeah, but BC or
yeah,
AC
after Christianity. Because the year 1 was Jesus.
No, that's not how it works at all.
But it was before Christ, right?
If
it was 1 year before Christ, and then 1 year after would be year 1.
The Roman Empire...
What, they
were actually formed before Christ.
It's 2020 right now. Are you saying that they started on like year 1000 and they just went on from there?
Well, they have the years before Christ.
They have to start from 1 sometime.
I don't know.
If we go back exactly 2000, what was it? 2000. 70 years.
You know what? I like when I seen somebody on Twitter. It's like, oh, happy 2020, guys. The Earth is now 2020 years old. And then so many people were like face palming.
Yeah, but anyway,
that's right. Like, why do we call it 2020? Is that like how many calendar years that we've been keeping up with?
This is 1,400 years ago. That's what so it's actually pretty recent, technically.
Yeah, I guess.
Only 1,400 years, pretty recent.
Maybe.
In reference to something from Chinese mythology, when some kind of noisy shooting star appeared, a monk explained it as a celestial dog. Oh, wow. Yes, a celestial dog.
Celestial.
Priest, what are you talking about?
A big dog in the sky. It shines like a star.
Go. You've done with the sake. No more sake for you. Go and lie down. Lie down. The sound of who's barking is like that of thunder. Wait, so just thunder. Alright.
So it's like a dog Thor?
So lightning
or a dog Odin?
Lightning and thunder is just a star dog.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Which makes sense. I don't know if they had the science.
Yeah, every time I throw a squeaky ball outside and it starts a thunderstorm, that's why.
I run.
That's why that happens.
I run away. The celestial dog in Chinese mythology was like that of a comet or meteor, accompanied by the sound of thunder. Oh, so it's when it breaks the sound barrier, yeah?
Thunder. And considering an omen of war. In some stories, when it descends to Earth, it takes on the form of a dog. Why? It's because some guy said it did. I don't know. Perhaps the closest it gets to our image of a Tengu is one from Chinese story from 1672, 1,000 years later. A villager saw a creature. That's right, a creature on the roof of his neighbor's house, resembling a dog, but standing erect as a man.
It was probably a crow.
Not like a small bear or something looking for honey.
Maybe.
Right? It had a sharp beak. Okay. Upper half of its body was red. Lower half was blue as indigo. Could have been clothes. Its tail was that of a broom. He could have been sweeping the roof. And he could have had one of those sharp hats. I don't know.
Yeah, like you don't know what they were dressing
was up. Was it in the morning? Or was it at nighttime?
Oh, okay.
They don't have any lights. Think about it. They only have torches.
That's true.
Wait, 16? Yeah, they only have torches. But this doesn't seem like a common description. In another less dramatic and probably more realistic source, a falling star becomes a stone the shape of a dog's head.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, it gets more complicated. There is also mention in this Chinese sources about the celestial dog as more animal-like demon living in the mountains. There's even another Chinese creature called the celestial fox, and its characteristics are strangely similar to the stories told about Tengu. It shapeshifts and appears as Buddha, sets fires, and has the power to possess people. Isn't that a kitsune?
So we've gone from super strength to summoning storms of like basically any time, to flying, to casting magic, to being a master martial artist, to being able to transform into a dog and travel through space.
Sounds like a standard anime to me. I don't know what else.
It's like, oh my god. It's like basically it could be anything.
It's just magic. Yeah. All that is just concealed within magic. Maybe it's not even alive. It's a ghost. I don't know.
My god.
This all happened long ago, and it was passed down through oral tradition, so the exact sequence of associations and changes will never be known for sure. One scholar theorizes the Japanese couldn't keep straight the difference between the celestial dog and the celestial fox. They fricked it up. And the former name was applied... Too much sake. And the former name was applied to a native creature with the powers of the latter. Tell me about that abduction.
Oh man, let me tell you. The Tengu abduction, the Toraki,
Torkichi,
the Torakachi, the Edo,
Yeah, you're right.
Teriyaki chicken. The Edo period Tengu boy.
The Tengu boy.
The Tengu often abducted priests.
As they do.
But they didn't treat them like the little boys, like the priests did. But they could also kidnap children. Oh, okay, I guess they did.
I guess
take it back. They were permanently damaged mentally by the experience. Others were delirious or unconscious for a few days before eventually recovering. Renowned folklorist
Yanagita Kunio.
Yanagita Kuni said the boys of the mountain village where he grew up, as the late 19th century, talked constantly of the fear of being stolen by a Tengu.
Whoa! One of these boys came back much the better for it, though Tarikichi claimed he was abducted. Tarikichi was abducted by the train by the
Urameshi.
Urameshi. Tariki Urameshi claimed he was abducted by the train by the Tengu. The Japanese writer Harita Atsune interrogated him about experience and wrote a book that was published in 1822. Harita was a serious scholar that was deeply involved in theorizing about the properties of the other world. While some skeptics was beginning to take hold, this is the time many people still took these legends seriously. As late as 1860, in advance of the visit by the shogun, Lemuchi, officially of the city of Naiko, possessed an official notice.
Here's the notice.
To the Tengu of the other demons, whereas the shogun intends to visit the Naiku mausoleums next April.
Wow.
Now, therefore, Tengu and the other demons inhabiting these mountains must remove elsewhere until the shogun's visit is concluded.
Excuse me. All Tengu must get out of my house, my forest house, so I can check it out. Thank you.
When the Hirita heard of this boy who was telling stories of living with the Tengu, he was interested in it as the folklore.
Wow.
He took him at his word, so that he abducted Torikichi from another scholar who was also interested in the story. So wait, he had a fear as a child of being abducted from the Tengu, and whatever they're called, the Tengu. And then he was telling a story about it, and then he was abducted by another guy who was interested in the story.
He was abducted by one guy, and then he was abducted by another scholar.
Oh my god.
Wait, wasn't Torikichi a scholar, or did I miss that whole thing? No, Torikichi was abducted and trained by Tengu.
Yeah. He claimed it. And then he was talking
a scholar, and then Hirata abducted him and interrogated him and wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then he was abducted by another guy.
This pursuit of knowledge sure is a crazy place.
Oh my god. So, to Terichi, it probably didn't matter which scholar he lived with. He was kidnapped. He's never lived with anybody. He was a sickly child born into a poor family and didn't have a lot of options left in life.
But he was trained by Tengu, so shouldn't that mean he's amazing and talented?
Haruta saw Terikichi as the source of a lifetime to confirm his theories, and Terikichi was fine with this arrangement.
But he lied so he could get free food.
Kidnapped twice? 2 or 3 times?
That's his plan, man.
He was a poor boy.
Listen,
from a poor family.
This Hirata scholar gives him bed and food, and he doesn't have to do anything because he's sickly.
So tell me more about the Tengu.
He's fine, but
they're
sickly.
Red, and they yelled a lot.
He
and
flew.
He flew, yeah.
And he picked me up.
And there was a storm because he was angry.
He picked up several.
Oh my
bags
god!
of
This proves all my theories. And he's just he's secretly reading the books of his theories. It's and they did the thing you read on page 5.
It's
oh my god!
I could tell you about it, but I'm awfully sickly and I gotta get some food. It's okay, well I'll just feed you and give you stuff. Oh, okay. And he just makes up stories.
That's why they have so many powers.
It made a storm. And it possessed a monk. and it had like a huge
It was like
nose.
It was like in a tree, and this guy was like, "That's not a real thing in that tree."
Hold on, I thought they had bird heads. No, they're more human, but like with long noses. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is centuries ahead, though. That folklore is already made before. But that would be funny if it was.
Just stuff like that. He's just making up stuff for food. Faking Torakichi's my hero.
Yeah, he's the best. Torikichi did an excellent job of making use of his storytelling skills to earn his keep.
I knew it!
Hirata was interested in every mundane detail, and Torikichi had them all. From how Tengu made mochi into the recipe for hemorrhoid
relief.
Hemorrhoid relief?
Yeah, Tengu's not a cure hemorrhoids.
Oh, okay.
You can't. They can make a storm and learn swordsmanship, but they can't cure hemorrhoids.
As well as the spiritual question and the things we all want to know. What did it feel like to fly?
I never flew. The Tengu flew.
Yeah.
I just watched from the ground.
Some of his stories can be explained away as dramatization of rather normal things. He told one exciting anecdote of a creature that flew down and latched onto his face.
Face hugger.
It wasn't very large, but fierce and had sharp claws, so it was a bird. It sounds a lot like the Japanese flying squirrel. Oh, okay. Another time, he said he was attacked by a baby dragon that tried to pull him underwater, but it sounds a lot like he encountered a large snake.
And he survived that?
Toriichi was a city kid, so natural things may have been unfamiliar and easily misinterpreted and turned into amazing stories. Other stories seem to be based in well-known folklore, like his tales of the orangutan-like monkeys with human faces that are fond of sake. He said they made particularly delicious liquor. But in other cases, he's just a great storyteller skilled at making up details that would excite his audience. Here's what he said about how it felt to fly.
When one raises into the sky, one feels rather as though one is treading on soft cotton. It may be clouds for all I know, but as one is rushing along as though blown by the wind faster than any arrow, the only sensation one has is of ringing sound in one's ears. Some prefer flying high in the sky, others low, rather as some fish swim near the surface of the water, others down in the depths. Do you take off from the mountain peak or the top of a tall tree?
Not necessarily. You can take off from anywhere you like.
He's a child, right? He's got to have a child voice.
Is it cold?
That's Harada.
Hot up in the sky.
That would be Harada talking, so he would be deep. Is it cold or hot up in the sky?
Huh.
When you first leave the ground, it gets gradually colder. But once you're past the cold pole, it gets extremely hot.
How fast are they going?
When you are passing between the cold and hot regions, you feel cold from your waist downwards, as though you're standing in water, and burning hot above. When you get up still higher, entirely into the hot region, your hair feels like it begins to go into tight curls, like there's a Buddha image. And when you get up really high, you feel very calm weather with rain or wind. Can I have a sandwich now? I'm kind of hungry.
I mean, he's not wrong, I guess.
mean, like, if you're really up high, you're going to be cold.
Wait a minute. What the heck? These are space aliens. First, abducting people. Second, advanced technologies that can control weather. Thirdly, it's cold as you get high. They went through the atmosphere, so it got hot. And then there's nothing. No rain, no wind.
Full circle, man.
In space.
Full circle.
And out of space is nothing. And I assume they had some kind of protection so he didn't feel too cold when he got up there.
Right. He was also good at telling Henrita what...
Henrita?
Hirata. What he wanted to hear. Or making up great rationalizations when he didn't. When Hirata says, Torakichi... description of a trip to the moon doesn't match what Hirata knows about the moon. Toriichi laughed and said,
Your theory is flawed because it's based on information you found in a book. I don't know about books. I speak from seeing it up close.
And here's a particularly hilarious example of Toriichi telling Hirata what he wants to hear.
My master
refers to the Tengu. Also, since Hirata found very annoying when my nose hairs grow out of my nostrils. I keep tweezers close by me so I can readily pluck those hairs. Upon seeing this, Torikichi said,
Long nose hair is a sign of a long life. My master believes they should never be plucked. My master's nose hair is extremely long. 5 or 6 have grown out both nostrils that are so long they're indistinguishable by his mustache. My master takes great care of those nose hairs.
Torikichi's story has an ironic ending. After Harita lost interest in him, Torikichi eventually found another way to earn his keep as a Buddhist priest.
And because he's a liar, he became a Tengu after, probably.
Yeah.
Ain't that just the bee's knees?
The best.
Tengu in pop culture. Tengu in pop culture. The Tengu has developed into such a rich and complicated character. It's no surprise it's still being widely used today. They appear in countless manga, anime, and games. Pretty much any storyline or setting that involves yokai will throw at least one. So there are far too many to list. But here are a few examples where Tengu are particularly important characters.
Oh my.
It's the eccentric family. In this Tengu anime, based on a novel by Tomohiko Memori that aired in 2013, a second season was recently released. This is in 2016, of course. It's about a family of Tanuki living in modern-day Kyoto, and their interactions with the human and Tengu world. That sounds cute. One of the characters, Ben 10...
Ben 10?
Ben 10! Darn it, what an alien device deported. Okay. Is a young woman who was abducted and trained in the arts of the Tengu, including flight. A modern twist, since children who learned the Tengu's powers in the old stories were boys. Blackbird. If you're a fan of sexy vampire fiction, this is the Tengu story for you.
The sexiest.
It's a manga about a teenage girl who discovers her blood gives her incredible powers to demons who drink it. And her, I could see people would read that. And her childhood sweetheart is actually heir to a Tengu clan. But is his nose big though? Does he have a big nose? He has to have a big nose. Whose leader is prophesied to have her as his bride. He protects her from the other demons who are constantly attacking her. Eating her flesh also confers immortality, which complicates matters even more. And this sexy Tengu fellow heals her by licking her wounds. Enough said, right?
A little spicy for me, man.
A little too spicy. I'm gonna give that a like. Kami-sama kiss.
I almost thought I said Kami Sutra. It's almost
Tengu are important characters in the manga and anime Kami-sama Kiss. One, called Karama, has a career as a pop idol whose act is as he's a fallen angel.
Oh, I was thinking of Kuwabara. That's
wacky, right?
With gold makeup and wings, everyone assumes as part of the stage costume. Tactics. In Oniku Tengu, or Oni-eating Tengu, is one of the main characters in the manga and anime Tactics. Another main character, Kentaro, is your typical kid who can see yokai when no one else can. Yurimishi. In a nice twist on a cliche, he grows up to be a folklorist.
Hey, like me.
Like me, not you.
Aw.
Jeez. What the fuck? The Tengu was rescued by captivity, lost his memory, conflict relationship, he wants his powers back, yada yada yada.
Oh my god. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot more, but I think we're past our time here.
Yeah, we've gone on for over an hour. Most of you probably already left after the first 10 minutes.
That's alright.
But yeah, that's great. Thank you for, sticking around with us. If you did make it this far, you're amazing. You can share it with everybody you know. Your grandma, she's probably going to fall asleep after 5 minutes. She'll listen to the whole thing.
And if you're that one person
if you absolutely hate us, send it to your enemies. Just say, this is great. Yeah, you'll love it. And be like, you'll really like that part, and then give them timestamps so they have to listen to those parts.
I hate this part the most. Listen to this part.
Yeah.
And if you're that person who didn't stick around but clicked the end of the video for some reason, thanks for not sticking with us and joining us at the end.
Yeah.
You win a prize.
Yeah, the prize is you have to listen to timestamp 30.42 and 46.75.
Whatever you say.
And an hour 45 minutes then.
TLDL, Tengu are alien birds.
Yeah. I have to say the crow version is, I think, the best.
The Yokai Tengu?
Yeah.
I like the pro version, too.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
There's actually a D&D character based on the Yokai Tengu.
Next time on the Folklore Scrolls, we'll be looking up more crow-like people.
Yeah, bird deities through history.
And especially, let us know down below if you like this version, like a longer style version with less editing.
My ankle.
Or if you want shorter style with more editing. Let us know down below. And we'll see you again next time. Holla at you later.
Farewell.